Okay, let's go. So first of all, I want to thank Chris, Johnny. New York was pretty good. I don't see too many familiar faces from New York, so this one's going to be even more fun. But what I'm going to go through today is how to build funnels that convert and scale cold traffic. So CRO is a bit of a vague term. I think there's so much to cover in this topic, but what I want to try and focus on is more like funnel heavy optimization. So can I have a quick show of hands? Does anyone run like subscription brands, like landing pages? Yeah? All right, that's good. Thank God. Okay, so what I want to do though is talk about it without spending more on creatives. So people nowadays are just consistently spending money on creatives, email and SMS, and then they never touch their website and their funnel. And logically saying that out loud, it just makes zero sense. So we're going to talk about it and why you don't need to redesign your website and how to do it by not guessing. Okay, so first of all, PM Digital, I'm the founder. We're the all-in-one CRO Shopify performance agency. What we like to do is kind of do full funnel optimization. So our goal is to turn your visitors into profit. We work with a lot of 7, 8, 9-figure brands. We've worked with over 150 brands, but I think the key point here is every test and funnel should start with the research, okay? So it ends with profitability in mind and whatever the brand's goal is. Here's just a list of pretty cool brands we work with: Raw Nutrition, Cadence, Minerals, a lot of very funnel-heavy brands, but also then focusing on a lot of landing pages and split tests, okay? So our focus though is mainly subscription brands, fashion brands. I think they have two completely different scenarios in how you actually have to go about optimizing for them. As in, fashion is very much size guides, return policies, how do you actually get bundles going, loads of different things like that. Subscription brands, it's a bit of a niche term, but subscription or funnel brands, people that are selling things that solve a problem. I think it's a completely different scenario. It's a completely different strategy that has to be done, but you have to go very into who your customer is and what the funnel has to do. Now, after today, I want to make sure that everyone stops sending cold traffic just to PDPs. I want to make sure that you're not testing random ideas, you're not discounting your way to zero margin, and the fact that stop losing subscribers in months 2 and 3, which I think is a cool thing we'll go over today. And then stop running one funnel, okay? So that's one thing that I think brands just are so obsessed over, is like they're scared to test things with different avatars. And we're going to go into that a bit more in detail. So if I just move to this side, the reality of a brand in 2026, I kind of mentioned this, but you know, the usual thing, 300 plus ad creatives a month, spending thousands. As Johnny said, I think he spent $1 million in one ad. That's good, but email and SMS is usually locked in. And as Johnny said as well, if you're not testing and iterating on like new funnels, new tests, or sorry, more so CRO tests, your CAC stays the same, conversion drops, you're capped on spend at the ad account, and you've low LTV and low subscriber take rates. So I'm going to kind of try and touch across all of these elements on this topic. Now, the biggest problem for me that we see across brands is most brands don't have a traffic or ads problem. They have more of a funnel problem. So people don't trust them. People don't understand the product and what it does. But also then cold traffic being sent straight to their product page is sometimes just too soon. People don't know a single thing about your brand. They don't know what it does for them, what problem it solves. Again, there's just a lot of issues with it. Now, if we go on the left-hand side here, we've got like the old way that I would call it. So add to product page. I mean, people are just constantly ramming this. And I think if you haven't tested new funnels, you're just missing out on so much cash. People assume they're ready to buy. The founder decides what to say. So I love putting this one in because the founder is usually the bottleneck when we're working with brands. They're just obsessed with their own opinion. I hate opinion. Well, sorry, I like opinions, but I think opinions are very biased in terms of what they believe in. And our job is to kind of change that. And then you've got the left-hand side, which is more so how to actually run proper funnels. So add to lander, to PDP, to checkout. Or you can also do landing pages to quiz, which is a whole nother topic I'll not go into too much. but then you can also just do a straight add to landing page to checkout. So it's just trying to make sure people understand that. And then also educating and building trust first, okay? We also then have subscription-only funnels. So I'm not sure if anyone runs too many subscription brands here, but subscription-only funnels, making sure that you're obviously allowing the customer to know that they are subscribing to a product. They work super well. Customer research should always decide what you say. So I'm going to link into that in a bit. And then different pages for different mindsets and avatars. So I'll touch on this down in the next slides, but we do a thing where, like, for example, in January, people are coming off Christmas, the holidays, they want to gain control of their whole routine. They want to start getting back in control of what they actually want to do. And we can tap into that mindset when it comes to landing pages. So these are kind of the mistakes we see weekly. Zero avatar and customer research. So hopefully everyone that has a brand knows what an avatar is. If you don't, then I'm not really sure how you've made it this far. But an avatar is kind of, we have to have at least 3 to 5 we try and tap into. And that can be people of the same age demographic, but have different interests. So they might like to shop on the weekends, but they also like to look after themselves. It really depends on what you're selling. We also see that the copy describes the product and not the transformation. So I don't know why people just expect the customers to understand what the product actually does for them and not tap into the transformation enough, because that's what they're actually buying. They're not really buying your product, they're buying that transformation that they get. And then discounting massively on first order. So we've worked with brands that are just obsessed with smashing 50% discounts. They're not running offers properly. They're not trying to incentivize a higher spend on first order, which can also make you obviously more profitable. And they have no LTV strategy, so it's all about short-term gains. And LTV is obviously customer lifetime value, so that's what we're trying to optimize for at all times. And they try to speak to everyone, so not everyone needs your product. You've just got to realize that and get very niche, okay? So why does cold traffic need a funnel? So we've created over 500 landing pages. That's also an absolute guess, by the way. I don't even have a track on that. It's probably more. But we've worked with all types of brands, and you can still run funnels for clothing and fashion. I just want to make sure everyone knows that. But why do you need it? And it's quite simple. It allows you to scale. So landers, placing a landing page before the product page or placing it after the ad can just allow you to spend more cash on Meta. Like, it can just unlock an entire new spend on an ad account. If people have really good creatives, or you have a creative that just can't be beat, slide in a landing page with it, and you'll probably just get way more spend on that actual creative as well. Also, just the common sense of lower CAC, okay? The brands with the best funnel can pay for the most traffic because they'll probably be more profitable because they've touched the after the ad. So, I mean, I'm not going to go into this too much. Everyone kind of knows this, but cold traffic is, they don't know you. They don't really know the brand. They don't trust you. You've hit them with one ad, okay? So, people have been burned online. I mean, they're comparing you probably to something they can get pretty cheap on Amazon. So you need to give them proof, okay? Now, we've also then got like semi-warm traffic, if you want to call it, where they know the problem, they've seen the brand, but they don't really know the solution. You can also tap into, like, they might be solution aware, but they're not problem aware. That's a whole nother topic we can really chat on. But then you've got like warm/hot traffic. So they know their problem, they've seen the brand, they're in buy mode. So that's probably when they should be hit with the offer or straight to the PDP, okay? So where to start? So in my opinion, what we always do is it starts with the research. Now, you can take a photo of this if you want, but we always do this when it comes to testing and funnels, okay? So whether it be a landing page or it be testing, it doesn't matter. We do. Quick interruption to the video. So if you're watching this, you're obviously a couple minutes in. My name is Paddy McLaren, founder of PM Digital. We are the full funnel e-commerce optimization agency, and we work with a ton of 7, 8, 9-figure brands, helping them scale their post-click optimization. Now, if you're interested in this type of content, you can click around the video. There'll be a couple more on my YouTube, breakdowns of me going through pages, and also just educating people on how you can actually scale with cold traffic in 2026. If you're interested in this, watch the full video or click around here to book a call with myself. I'll also leave it in the description. We can go through your post-click optimization, run through your funnels, run through your website, give you some tips on
split tests and landing pages and funnels that you can run to scale your cold traffic this year. And hopefully you enjoy the video.
Do this same strategy all the time. So step one is your analysis. It should always start with that. So we have quantitative and qualitative analysis. You kind of want to do it where you're looking through market research, okay? So you're looking through all the different types of statistics, all of those things that come with your product. You're looking through your own analytics. So where is the drop-off? Where is people getting stuck within your funnel? And where is the worst parts of it? Where are they actually not getting past, okay? Then you've obviously got heat maps and scroll maps. So that's where they're clicking. Where are they dropping off on the landing pages? How can you optimize that sort of threshold there? Then you've obviously got like website reviews, support tickets, ad comments, competitor analysis. I think all of these are kind of like where you're going to get the most wins because people don't do this enough, okay? You can literally use Claude AI now and do this in minutes. You can just rip your website reviews, paste them in. You can do support tickets, which I think is like an underutilized way to understand, well, the customers are literally telling me what their problems are. So why don't we just like put that into the landing page or the website? So it's kind of common sense. Then you've got surveys. So I think this is also one of the most underutilized ways to ask your customers key questions. So send it to your email list, send it to like post 90 days customers that have purchased, and then obviously post-purchase surveys. So you're going to get them on different mindsets. They're obviously going to have just purchased. Some of them have got your product. So you want to really make sure that you're asking them key questions to understand more about what it is you need from them. Then you've got things like ad comments. So I'm going to tie into this in like kind of down the slideshow where ad comments, it's actually kind of like a hack in a way where you should be grabbing them and putting them into landing pages as social proof because it's literally people saying like, oh, I bought this product, I loved it. It's another way to get reviews. So we'll tie into all of that. But where I'm going with this is you've got step two then. That should be your ideation. And then you prioritize it based off what's going to take the longest, how big of a lift might it be, and then you obviously go through the entire funnel of like copywriting, design, development, test it, get a learning, and it's just that big, massive kind of funnel in itself. So now we kind of do it where this is kind of like our motto internally where we say, focus on what they see, what they click, and what they say. So it's kind of like an easy way to understand like how do we actually tie in a funnel? Like how do we run tests? People just kind of like throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. But you kind of need to do it like this. What are they saying? So kind of what I tied into already. Use your customers' words and language in your landing pages and your ads and your website. So this is a key thing that we do all the time. But if someone's saying like, oh, I loved it because it really helped me wake up fresh in the morning, like use that wording. That's a really bad example, but use that wording in the actual landing pages, okay? So you can use that as hooks. You can use that as hero sections on the website. Again, loads of things. Then focusing on what they see. So like when you load a landing page, the first thing you see or a website or a product page is like product images, the price, the benefits, the USPs, so the unique selling points. You've got to make sure you understand what they see first and start to test those things. And then you've got what they click, okay? So the subscriptions, the offers, the bundles, the upsells, the call to actions. You've got all the things that actually change your bank account, pretty much is how we say it. So it's close to revenue. And then everything is mapped to the strategy where decisions actually happen. So I'm going to tie this all back in. So how to structure landing pages for cold traffic. And this is kind of like the blueprint we follow, okay? So you can kind of take a photo of this if you want. You don't need to do this specifically. You can also just like take some of these out and in if you want. But this is like, if I could say what we call a hero section landing page, again, there's so many words that people use for these, but this wouldn't really, this can be done for an advertorial, it can be done for a listicle, it can be done for like a sales focused landing page. But I think the key thing that people actually miss out on is this is all just the same regurgitated information that we all know about. You know, it's kind of the same framework people use for ads as well. And myself and Kamal were talking yesterday, and we actually said to each other, like, whatever you do with ads, just do that with your landing page. Like, it's actually quite simple. Like, people kind of make this so much harder than it needs to be. But you've got your hero section, okay? Probably the most important section of any website, any landing page, any PDP. It's the thing that people take 3 to 5 seconds to understand. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Do I know what it is, why I should buy your product, and not just buy from someone else? So we try and hook them in, the same as an ad, we try and hook them in with whatever that problem is. Then you can kind of go into deeper pain points in terms of what it is that you're trying to understand. You've obviously got the promise, the mechanism, proof, and timelines. Now, this is a really good one here. We've actually tested this a lot on split tests on PDPs and landing pages. So if you have really good reviews, really good ad comments, but then community screenshots. So I'm not sure anybody has community like chats here, but we do a section now, which I'll show you, where you can actually grab like community posts and make sure people are talking about the pain points that the product solved, because other customers will have those exact pain points and they'll read it and just be like, oh, well, they must be speaking like, you know, they're speaking directly to me. So they can relate to that pain point, okay? Now, I think something that people really don't actually use enough is like show the literal ingredients in your product. And then if you're doing clothing, show the materials. So like cotton, whatever that is, make sure it's really about comfort if it's more on fashion. But when it comes to ingredients, you've got to show what it is, what the milligrams is or whatever, and then actually show the why. So like, why is that product in there? What is the benefit for them? So that's another really good area. You've obviously got the offer. Again, if you're split testing this, you can just move these sections. Like, don't be afraid to move the offer to like section 2. If it's like a warmer audience, again, you can mess around with this, but this is just to give people something to leave with today and maybe implement themselves, okay? And then you've obviously got like one of the most important areas, which is this. So your FAQs. So I think this is also an area that people don't put enough focus in. You can literally, if it was up to me, I would put 10 to 15 FAQs in there, just absolutely ram FAQs, because it's the exact things you know that people are telling you in your reviews, in your surveys, in everything that you've extracted from your customer. They have told you what their objections are. So literally just answer them. So it's quite simple when you think about it. Now, obviously, everything starts with what they say. So you have to have great copy in here. And this is kind of like making sure that when you're doing landing pages, you're doing funnels, that you actually go through the congruency of the funnel. So ad to landing page. I always talk about this. If you have really high performing ad, just match it with a landing page. And then you can kind of go deeper into the problem. You've got here, obviously, matching the awareness levels. So when it comes to different awareness levels, people are obviously going to know their problem. They're going to know if they need a solution. They're going to know all of those kind of standard funnel topics that we talk about. But you've got to make sure you match that awareness level. Then second of all, hit their pain points. So you can get really direct response without, going over the top. But you want to hit their pain points and make sure that your product is the one that's kind of going to be talked about at the last section, where it's got to be the solution, okay? Then you want to use social proof. So again, I think people underutilize social proof. It's the reason someone might actually buy from you and not a competitor. So if you have really good reviews, community sections, UGC videos, founder videos, have as many social proof sections as you can, as high up the page as possible, and utilize the mindset and desire levels of where they are now. So I think this, I'm going to touch on this a little bit. I think it could be the next slide. I can't remember. But the mindset and the desire levels changes month on month and quarter on quarter. Black Friday, everyone's just dying to save money and buy loads of products. When it comes to January, everyone's probably a little less money. The economy's a bit, shattered. That's when if you sell a product that has like an outcome and a benefit, you can really tap into the mindset of where the customer is at that time. So again, like talking about control, I'll tap into that in a little second. And then lastly, handle all objections. So I'm going to keep using that word because the reason someone will buy and not is either price, first of all, is the product even what they need, and then objections. Just handle their objections, okay? Now, I got this from a client yesterday, which is kind of funny, and I want to talk about this. It's all blurred out, so I'll never share any details like that, but direct response always wins. We hammered this client for about 3 months to let us do direct response copywriting. And they were just like, no, we're a premium brand. We don't do that. We want to be cool. They're like a They're a product that people that play sports and like run and train would take. They wouldn't let us do it. They wanted to be all cool and premium. Their ads weren't working. They weren't scaling. And this is a genuine, real story. They brought on a new media buyer in November, and he started running all these direct response ads. We then matched it with we matched it with landing pages, and he sent us that yesterday. Performance and LP seemed to have a good switch in our favor. So we haven't even looked into that data because he sent it yesterday, but it started taking way more spend because we matched the ad to the landing page, but we went into pain points. And like, I don't know why brands don't like doing this. You've got to just let your ego kind of step to the side and really try and tap into that, okay? And then last point, which is kind of just like, compare yourself to a competitor. You know, compare yourself to a competitor. The only difference is going to be that the psychology is the difference. So you're selling the same product, okay? Now, here's kind of like, what are we like on time? Do we know? Absolutely no idea. Okay, so here's like 4 different types of pages. You've got obviously product page, hot traffic, I would call it, warm traffic, product focused. Again, you can still do what we've done here on the left-hand side, which is tap into the pain points as well as like showing why this product's good. You've obviously then got like an offer landing page, so shopping a new product or shopping a good offer that you have running. Again, you'll still below this tap into the problem, solution, why you've created it, why this brand. Then you've got something like trust focused, where I would say this can work with like medium to cold traffic. You know, people still need to come in and understand why should I buy this product, social proof, all of the key things there. And then you've got my favorite, which is like advertorials. Does anyone run advertorials here? Yeah? Oh, fuck, I love advertorials. So you can get so dialed in to these. I think they're just the best way in which you can scale traffic right now. They're taking up a lot of spend on ad accounts. For obvious reasons, you can kind of just write it like a big blurb of text. And we call these editorials where, and I'll break this one down, but there's a lot of strategy behind that one. So this is kind of what I was talking about when it comes to mindsets in different times of year. So January, reinvent myself. I don't know about anyone else, but I came back from January and I was like, I'm never drinking alcohol again. The food I ate was just ridiculous. And everyone's laughing because we're all the same, okay? Now, what did you want to do? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take control of my routine again. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to look for all these electrolyte supplements and vitamin D and vitamin C and everything that you can think of. Why? Okay, why do you do that? Because you want to transform again into something to improve. You want to really get healthy. You want to feel control of what I'm doing. So tap into that. That's a desire, okay? They have a desire to get control back into their routine. Now we're coming into February, or we're in February, and it's more about emotion, okay? We have Valentine's coming up. We have, how will this make me feel? Connection. I want to treat myself. I want to treat my spouse or whatever. And they want to get a bit of like confidence back, a bit of a reward. Again, I put some like angles at the bottom here. You can kind of just like restructure your offer if you want. You can do like reset kits or like reset bundle or like the January bundle. Then you can kind of come into like gifting, really hammer them on like buying as much as possible. And then on the left-hand side, you have like validation. So like progress, proof. It's been 2 months since January. They want to get some like, they don't want to waste another month. How far are they in the journey? And you can kind of tap back into that mindset. So we have a full document on this of all 12 months across the year. I can send this at the end. I'll let you scan a little barcode. Don't know what's going on here. Okay, yeah, perfect. So back to this one that I talked about earlier, the advertorial hero section. So I'm going to tap into 2 hero sections here just to kind of show people the difference, okay? So the problem, agitate, solution. So kind of like the standard copywriting framework that you have. But with this brand, we went really heavy into like, this is for like parents that are buying for toddlers with a certain problem or trying to really tap into like, why are they actually having these issues? What is the, we really tried to, we done about 6 to 7 of these and we really tried to educate them along the way while tapping into it. So the 40% stat, that's kind of like a real thing, but it's trying to really understand that, like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not alone. Maybe, my child is kind of like suffering from things that other people feel like. What happens if you don't fix this? So like trying to really make sure that they understand that they have to fix this. I mean, it's quite common sense. Field solutions, so like you've tried melatonin, you've tried white noise, the normal things that parents have genuinely probably tried. And we got all of this research off like forums, their community, ad comments, reviews, surveys. So back to what I said about what they say. So I think what they click, what they see, what they say is like the easiest mindset shift that you can have. And then the discovery, but then I found, or like experts revealed. So, that's just the hero section. This is incredibly long. It's probably about 4,000 words. So you've got to try and always talk about that. But this is like one thing that I think people don't talk about enough is like the mechanism. So like, it's kind of like an agency in a way. For every business, you have to kind of label it something different than the other person. You've got to have a certain mechanism that this really helps the person that's shopping. And then we've got this one on the left. So this is a normal landing page. I wouldn't really call this like an advertorial. This is for hair care, but I love this one that the team done recently for a number of reasons. I'm going to explain it on the left. So I'll kind of stand out of the way in case anybody wants to take a snap of that. So we have the product image, obviously. I always talk about hero sections, and the reason I'm doubling down on this is because this is the section that people see first. Show the product in its environment or being used, or like show all of the products. This is a bundle, a 3-step bundle. So we're showing all 3. The second part, before and afters, means straight social proof. It's also for females. So they're going to see this and be like, oh, I'm a female. It obviously relates. And then you've got leading with results, which is what we said there. The guilt removal. So like hair thinning during hormonal changes isn't random and it isn't your fault. So making sure that you're like giving them a bit of like satisfaction that it's not really their actual fault, but talking more along the lines of like why this 3-step solution is the main benefit. Okay, so that's kind of what we done with that one. And then this is one that if people read this, you'll probably laugh. The top left one's actually quite funny, but the unique angles. Okay, so some of the other landing pages we done, I wouldn't even be allowed to put up here, but the unique angles are kind of, the reason I put this one in is because I think brands with a personality actually scale better. I think that if you talk in a certain language, people will hook on to you a bit more. I'm not sure what it is, but if you're just a plain boring brand and you don't kind of step over the line a little bit, or these ads are crazy that are going to this, like absolutely wild. So we tried to match that angle and that wording to really continue the personality from ad to lander. And I think even just doing that increased results. So he already had loads of these. Again, we're still testing these, but this is just like a really cool brand as well. And then the design is absolutely insane. But yeah, match the energy, match the ad, match the personality. I think that's like an underutilized way. But see in the bottom corner here, this is something really cool that we done, where it was kind of like a conversation between the founder and the customer. And it was like, hey, you look wiped out, or hey, you look really tired, or hey, your hair isn't looking good, or whatever you want to say. And then you can kind of tap into like, yeah, I don't know why. And then it's kind of like a real conversation. It's kind of a really cool angle that we come up with together. And then this is another type of thing that I've been talking about the whole time. I don't even know where to stand. I'm kind of like hovering over this. So this is social proof. Now, this is like you can do this in many ways, but this one's really cool. This brand has loads of community comments. There's like 10, 15,000 in the community. If you don't have a community and you're selling something that has an outcome, I really highly recommend it. These guys are selling gym products, so it's a little bit easier, but real community ad screenshots, or ad screenshots, reviews, all of these print, okay? Have them as high up as you can, because people love it. And if you actually read these, you can't really at the minute, but it's like, I used to suffer with this, and I really travel a lot, and now I use the product to really get through my day. And yeah, it's so good, because they read it and they're like, okay, this person used to be like me, and now I want to be like them. And timelines, okay? Now, I don't know why brands don't do this enough, but timelines are so good, especially when you sell subscriptions. every single bit of wording, if you sell a subscription brand, should be around daily, routine, consistent use, everything like that. The copy has to align, and then the results that they should expect. Now, this is dark because as you scroll, it kind of like lights up. But basically what it's saying is like week 1 to 3, these are the problems. This is what's going to start to happen. 3 to 4 months, 2 to 3. And then if you really want, you could say like 6 to 12 months. Now you have to start talking like this because they have to believe that in that time period, your product will help. But every single piece of copy throughout your entire funnel should be around daily usage, routine, consistent taking the product, whatever way you want to word this. You have to be doing that, okay? So, anyone else want to take a photo of that or okay? Okay, so then back to kind of linking into my point, if you have a subscription offer, you have to kind of make this, you have to be obsessed with this, okay? You can't just like run a subscription offer and not talk about daily routines and things, because this is the whole reason. They're going to buy because they want to have it all the time. It's kind of useful as well, but it also helps with retention. Like if you think about it logically, if you're talking and you're prepping them to like use this for a long time, they're going to buy into that, okay? They're going to buy into that, and that'll actually increase your customer lifetime value, your LTV. And also like when people then, which I'm going to talk on, start to cancel, is they don't see the results that you talked about and they have too much product. I see this all the time. Like people are hammering now these massive like buy 4, buy 6, buy 8, and then making people subscribe. But by month 2 or 3, they're going to have too much product. They're going to have probably just, they're bored and sick of it. So yeah, we can, I don't know how much time we have, so I'm going to try and fly through this. 10 minutes? Okay, yeah, that's sweet. But yeah, when customers know the results, take it for 8 weeks, etc., they're not going to cancel in 4, okay? So it's all linked. Now, we didn't do this, by the way, I just want to say, that's IM8. I'm sure everyone's kind of heard of IM8. They're absolutely printing. But this is kind of like offer fundamentals, okay? I honestly think marketing is just like perception. I think marketing in general is just like how you can make someone perceive you or your product or your business, whatever that is. This is a really good way to do this. And everyone's starting to do this now because it makes sense. Instead of you buying 10 products, 10 different supplements, like, oh, we've got one supplement that has all of these in it, and it justifies the price, okay? It justifies the price. You can now start to give them more value perception. We always use this word internally. It's like one of the most underutilized ways in which you can actually talk about like, what am I saving? How much money do I make? But if you can see this, we're kind of just talking along the lines of like what everything would cost you in comparison to subscribing, okay, monthly. So instead of spending $250 a month, you're subscribing for $50 and you're getting all of these things in one pill or whatever you're selling. And yeah, the absorption is like way higher because people buy all of these new creatine gummies, and which are, some are good, but some of them are not good, okay? Or like supplements or electrolytes or whatever it is. So you're trying to really show them that it's like backed by science, there's loads of proof behind it, and also the absorption, which is really important for supplements nowadays, is super impressive. But yeah, I love how IM8 do it. I mean, their funnels are just absolutely insane. And they do this really well. So yeah, that's that one. And again, back to the offer fundamentals. Like, I think a mistake that everyone makes is they just hammer discounts. They just hammer discounts. They don't talk about the perception of value enough. And people think that that's going to work, but all it does is smash your margin, and it's not about LTV. So bundling offers versus one-time purchase and like subscriptions. So this is one that I think people struggle with. I just grabbed this from a client of ours, but I like this one because it helps you guys understand what I'm talking about here. If I'm going to buy 60 servings, why am I subscribing every 30 days? Just doesn't make sense, okay? That's what I mean, back to my point about too much product. By month, technically 4, their second purchase, which is only 2x LTV, or 2 months of LTV, they're going to unsubscribe because you've just smashed them with product. They've just stacks of product.
Amazon.
Yeah.
My subscriptions, I have to like cancel them and start them again because all of a sudden I get all this product sitting, and even though if I take it daily or whatever, because you can't just like perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. So like give your customers a bit of like variety here, like actually help them choose what they're talking about. So what we like to do then is, and this is like something that I actually see as a bit of a problem, and we made this mistake previously, but when they click this, that should just change to like 2 months, okay? And when they click 90 days, it should change to ships 90 days. I mean, it's quite simple advice, but it works really well. And then also, sometimes what we do is we actually just don't allow them to subscribe to those bundles because it's discounts and then an extra 10% off. So you really have to understand your margins here to do this. But again, why subscriptions and why do we focus so much on it? I mean, like the LTV is just way higher. You might not be profitable in first order, but you're going to make so much money long term. Predictable revenue, I mean, I don't need to talk about some of this, but you've lower CAC technically because over time you're just going to make way more money. And the goal isn't just conversions, okay? And I think this is something that people don't understand enough, but we've clients that have like a 70% subscription take rate. We've some that have like 30. Our goal when it comes to doing CRO and funnels is like, what is your brand goal? Okay, it's subscriptions. Well, then every decision we make from here on in has to be subscriptions because of this stat. Your LTV is just way healthier. Your brand over time will just make more money, okay? Yeah, that's already been said. And then product images. Okay, so I kind of put this in. I have 2 slides on here and then we're nearly done. So we tested this on a client and their subscription take rate went up 11%. Their conversion rate stayed the same and so did their AOV. Well, sorry, their conversion rate actually went down by 1%. Now, people don't really look at that logically and think, well, why would that be the case? Well, let's look through it. First of all, their product images before were pretty horrendous. So they didn't talk about the outcome, the benefits. This is probably quite hard for you guys to see, but they didn't talk about any of this stuff, okay? So what we've done is like the taste. When people take gummies, they want to know the taste. It's kind of like the biggest thing that they're going to have an objection on. Showing like the demographic. So it's all females, as you can tell, except for this dude. But it's pretty much all females. Soft, sweet, and easy to chew. We've then got supports blood pressure, supports a couple of other things, but then you're putting some fruit beside it, making it look quite tasty. Then you're like pointing out the benefits in the top left, pointing out the ingredients. Then you've got thousands, you've got social proof. Key point, which everyone actually forgets to do, their offer. Subscribe and save. Why are you not telling them in your product images that they can subscribe and save? So we used to never do this, and then it just kind of caught on when I was like, well, we tested it and now it works super well. So that's why you test product images. Also in landing pages, don't just use really boring images. Don't just have simple creatives in your landing page. Like actually use things like this. Use like infographics in a way. And then this as well, okay? So top left, social proof again. Like why this product? Why these? Like what can I relate to this? The offer then, so a massive objection on surveys for this client was, well, why should I buy this when I can just go to the gym? But then everyone else was just like, I save over this product I think this product's £120, so about $150. And we worked it out. The average gym membership is like £700 per year, or like $850 per year, probably more. So we used that as an angle. And he's using that at the ads. So test it in your product images. Test it on your landing pages, okay? So you can really tap into a lot of this. It's all kind of linked. Whatever you're doing on your ad level, do it on your landing pages and creative, okay? And then, quite a squeaky floor. And then you've got the membership again, okay? So put that back into the landing pages and your product pages. And then here, you've got the transformation again. So everything I've talked about kind of is tapped into this again, where we're talking about transformations, saving money, social proof, when am I going to see results? And it's all about LTV, okay? And that's not even a subscription brand, by the way. So like, you can do it with every single brand. Now, basically the takeaways, which I want everyone to realize, is just like research before you test or do anything. Say, click, and see. So like what the customers say, what they click, what they see. Cold traffic needs warming. I mean, it's quite common sense, but some people don't have that. So stop sending everyone to your PDPs, okay? Warm them up, educate them, handle all the objections. Make sure the copy aligns to the mindset and the avatar. So like, you know, a male and a female won't be the same avatar. It's quite simple. You've just really got to understand who your avatars are, what they do in their day to day, how you can tackle that. Stack the value, so stop just slashing a price. Again, I compare it to like, you know, if you're going to buy a ticket for the DTC Growth Summit and it's like, oh, just buy a ticket to this event, or it's like, buy a ticket to this event, 100 founders, loads of value, 10 speakers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to be like, oh yeah, well that justifies the price now, okay? So stack value and then add to lander. It has to be a continued story. So whatever you do at the ad, you do in the landing page, okay? And that is pretty much everything. You can scan this. That's to our newsletter. I'll send out that big, massive 12-month doc, and you get loads of weekly things, and that's me looking quite fresh. So that's everything. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Patty, have you taken a look at the DTC Growth Summit site yet?
No, I haven't.
I think it needs some work.